Hey, this is Neil, developer of SmartMoneyCharts. Today we're going to talk about the nuclear sector, OCLO, SMR, NLR, and URA ETFs, which are all at a large discount. Now, the benefit of context is wisdom. This comes from the multi-time frame native perspective my app delivers. Context is an essential part of wisdom as it shapes how knowledge is interpreted and applied. Wisdom involves understanding the broader circumstances surrounding a situation, allowing for more thoughtful and appropriate decisions. And this is a major benefit my app, Smart Money Charts, delivers with its multi-time frame charts and indicators for investors and swing traders. Now, it was almost 2 years ago that I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about gold and Bitcoin, and he brought up nuclear, uranium, because he runs a very large mineral extraction company all around South America. And so I listened to him and he told me about it, and I went online and I researched it a little more, and I was surprised what I learned. And I looked at some ETFs like the Van Eck Nuclear ETF and the URA ETF, which are baskets comprised of different nuclear related mining companies, implementation companies like SMR and OCLO, and the actual mineral. So I looked at that and I looked at what their holdings were, and I saw that the SMR came up and OCLO, and I looked into them and I found that they were very promising, and it turned out to be a fantastic thing for all of us that got into it. And the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because, as you can see in the app, there are major discounts up to 50% even on things like SMR. So let's look at the charts and I'll take you through them, show you why these discount areas are interesting. And a 3-day bull divergence is likely developing on SMR, which is at a huge discount. So it's got my attention and it's worth looking at. Okay, so let's look at these two ETFs, the Van Eck Nuclear ETF and the URA Global X Uranium ETF. So we're getting into these 50% discount zones right here. There was a high of 155 on this one, and now we're back at 128. Okay, and the lows were around 70 in the last 2 years. Okay, so let's call that our low. And for URA, it's $45 right now, and had a high over $55. Okay, and the lows were about 21 this year. Okay, so we'll call that the low. And what's interesting is that we're approaching this halfway point. Okay, and the TDI is also signaling potential bottom. This is on the 1-week chart. Okay, and we can put this into context, some of these lower time frames, with this higher time frame chart, the weekly. Okay, which lets us look back 2 years and see the indicators for the weekly, and we can see that they're all at lows on the Traders Dynamic Index, the TDI. Okay, off of these highs. Okay, there were overextensions, and you can see this big wick here. You can see there was a div, bear divergence. Okay, retrace. Now we're 50% off of this range. Okay, and you can get a little bit more detail on the 3-day chart. Okay, see that? We're at this 50% retrace on the last 2 years. And you can get a little more detail on the 1-day chart, these charts right here. And you can see that in the last 4 months, well, at least since August, we're at the 786 retrace point where there's support, and there's multiple bullish wicks here and starting to come up. You can see that on the TDI, both of these ETFs. Okay, now let's take a look at OCLO and SMR, which are implementing nuclear technologies. And why would nuclear be important? It's obviously because it's producing power, and AI and, just growing country need power. Okay, demands aren't going down, they're going up. So let's take a look at OCLO. OCLO had this high of 162. Okay, it had these lows of around $5.50. Okay, huge range. Make it profitable. Okay, it's 90 now. So we're nearing the halfway point. Okay, you can see that. There's the halfway line. between the highs and the lows. Okay, you can see the TDI is low. And then you can see a very similar thing for SMR. SMR is actually, I think, even a better discount. Okay, you see that? So I've marked these off. You're almost at this low from, you know, March. Okay, and you can see that on TDI. Now, what's real interesting here is the 3-day chart. The 3-day chart isn't something people look at. You'd have to pay for it on TradingView, but if you just sign up on SmartMoneyCharts.com, you'll get access to the 3-day chart and a whole plethora of indicators. And TradingView would only let you do 2 on a free plan, but we're not limited here. There's a bunch of indicators in the chart, and then you can add 4 or more indicators below the charts if you wanted. For here, we're just using the TDI, which is a fancy version of the RSI. Okay, so with SMR, you can notice that we've got a negative 2.1 z-score. That's primed for a bullish reversal. Okay, and it probably will form a pivot point here, and it looks like it's forming a divergence. Okay, if it forms this low, then this low is higher than that low, but this low on the TDI, which is a fancy version of the RSI, is lower than this low. Okay, so that mismatch, that's a divergence. And it hasn't formed yet. And you can be ahead of the game if you pay attention. So that's why I'm looking at right there. And you can see how easy it is to notice these things because you have this little display next to each asset. And they're also on the charts. And these are in near real time marked for you what the z-score actually is, which is how far away it is from the 50. Okay, and the with standard deviation, it might be like the dollars off of the 50, but because we're trying to do cross-asset correlations and compare things, the z-score normalizes that across the assets so we can compare them. Okay, now OCLO seems to be just at the 50, SMR well below. Okay, and anything over a 2, like a 2 to a 3, is often where you're going to see reversals. And you can see that. You see this? 3.2. What did it do? It reversed. Okay, this was like a 2.9 reversed. Okay, this is a 2.1. So, and then if you look to the right, you can see how things are kind of bottoming out. Okay, you've got these bullish wicks coming in, which means there's a buying action happening, okay, bringing the price back up. Okay, people will call that support. You can see the TDI starting to cross up from a very low place, the lowest in the range. Okay, so technically OCLO and SMR look good. They are at big discounts, and SMR especially. So I hope you can come and visit Smart Money Charts for yourself. You can pick different assets that you like and have an analysis with multi-time frame analysis made easy. Okay, and I'd recommend you try it on a laptop or a tablet. If you're going to use your phone, it's going to be more limited, but you can do it, and I'd recommend you turn it landscape. And if you sign up, you can get additional features for free, like the 3-day chart and the 10-day chart and some other things, okay, and some of these indicators on the side. But it's free to use. You can visit, and I would tell you just click quick start or quick links in the description, and you can be taken to a chart setup just like this. Okay, so please, it takes a lot of time to make these videos and do these analyses, and obviously it took years to make this application in the databases, support it, and everything in between. So please like and subscribe, okay, to show your support and motivate me to keep making these, I think, very useful videos. Okay, have a great day and happy Thanksgiving. Bye.